Gonzo Education, Chapter 7, Part 2. It was refreshing to pretend I was a student, and I'd set aside a few hours each day to study, but at night, before I went to sleep, self-doubt would enter my mind. Was I wasting my time? Our father always told us we were worthless and stupid, so it was hard to think of myself as intelligent. Aside from a few observant grade school teachers, nobody ever told me I was smart, had a good memory, or was great at problem solving. When we were toddlers, people thought we were slow because we started speaking so late and had little conversation skills. I started spending time at the little Walnut Creek Library across the street from Golden Corral. Just like most libraries, there's plenty of homeless youth. Libraries are on the front line of homelessness in this country. They don't discriminate. Lots of times, it's the only place a person has to go. You can escape the heat, get out of the cold, use the bathroom, or get a cold drink of water. It's a refuge from the storm. One of the homeless kids at this particular library stood out from the rest. Adam was a quick-thinking white rapper type from Great Neck, Long Island. I wouldn't have noticed him walking the streets of New York, but the dude stood out in Austin, Texas. One morning, I was standing in front of the library waiting for it to open. Adam walked up and asked me for a cigarette. I gave him one and lit one myself. Soon we started having an energetic conversation. A few patrons gave me dirty looks, like I shouldn't be talking to an obvious homeless kid, but they're more interesting than people with money. I didn't give Adam much credit when I first met him and criticized him internally for being so unkempt. I've seen better dressed heroin addicts, but Adam said he didn't drink or do drugs. I thought he was lying and trying to soften me up in order to get his hands on the meager earnings I made from serving roles at Golden Corral. The next time I saw him, he was sitting under a Texas oak tree reading a worn copy of Dostoevsky. He put down his book and asked me for a cigarette, which I handed to him as I sat down next to him. "So what's your story?" I asked. "Why Texas?" I was working for a carnival and my boss ditched me," he said. "You were a carny?" "Yeah, but they don't like to be called that," he said. "I got in a fight with my boss when we pulled through here last month," he said. "Dude dripped me out of my last paycheck and left me with nothing but the clothes on my back." "You couldn't call your parents?" I asked. "I never had any parents, really," he said. "I had foster parents. They adopted me because I was Jewish. I lived there for a few years, but they kicked me out the first time I got in trouble." "Did you try to live in New York?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "I had an apartment there for a minute." Most conversations I have revolve around myself, but Adam had a story I wanted to hear. For the next few hours, he told me about an orphanage, going to Hebrew school, computer scams, and the carnival. I never met a Jew before, and Adam gave me a break from my roommate Dick. I finally had someone I could be real with. I had a decent friend to hang out with and go over my college study book at fast food places in the ghetto. Adam helped me study for the test and never asked for anything but food and smokes. I told him as soon as I got on my feet in a place of my own, I'd let him move in and show him how to get financial aid too. I tried getting a hold of Mom the night before the test. Guy said he hadn't seen her and hung up. Michael said he'd been trying to call her too. 2 weeks later, I got the results from my test and found out I scored almost perfect on every section except math. I was set to be enrolled as a full-time student at Austin Community College for the upcoming fall. I still had to take developmental math, which wouldn't count toward my degree, but I could register for a full load of regular college classes and they'd give me money for books, tuition, and a place to live. Mom turned up at a police station in Poughkeepsie, New York the day after I got my test results. They didn't know what to do with her, so they sent her back to Texas to be in the care of Guy. She stayed in his house full of boxes for a few days before the cops were called because of a domestic disturbance. The cops said she had to leave Guy's house, so Michael took her to live with him at Janet and Jonathan's place. One morning, Michael called Dick's house while we were watching Iraqi war propaganda on TV. He was about to get on a bus heading to basic training. Calling from a payphone at the San Antonio Greyhound station, I couldn't even ever remember my brother sounding so nervous. "I just met with recruiters and signed a few papers," he told me. "They want me to get on this bus heading to basic training, but I told them I was having second thoughts." Hearing the sound of Michael's voice while newscasters murmured about death in some faraway desert led me to give up the pro-war charade I was putting on to appease Dick. "The war in Iraq is wrong, uncalled for, a stain on this country," I yelled. "You'll be a mercenary." "We have to do something," he screamed. "What about Mom?" "I got my test results back," I told him. "I passed easily, and I'll be enrolled in college full-time this fall." "Yeah, but are you getting money?" he asked. Yes, money for books, tuition, and living expenses, I said. So what? You think the Iraq infantry would be risky? He asked. You think the infantry would be risky? He asked. You'd be playing with your life, I shouted. Okay, okay, he said. That's what I was thinking, anyways. Dick was in shock when I got off the phone. I had accidentally spit on the TV while I was yelling at Michael, and there was a huge loogie sliding down the side of Harold. There was a huge piece. There was saliva. It wasn't a loogie, it was saliva. There was saliva sliding down the side of Geraldo Rivero's microphone. I wiped it off of my shirt, but I could tell Dick was very disappointed. He was almost in tears. Michael made a commitment, he screamed, and you shouldn't stand away in that. Haven't you heard? We're at war. Maybe you're at war, you and Fox News, I said, but we're not at war with anyone. Me and Michael have nothing against Iraq. Michael ditched the recruiters at the Greyhound station and was set on taking care of Mom full time. The two of them stayed at Janet and Jonathan's for a few weeks until he got a job delivering pizzas. After Michael got his first check, they moved into the poorest motel in town. The Warren Inn is the last place any decent person would take their mentally unstable mother to live. It's like a prison, the kind of place that arouses insanity. You can almost see the crazy crawling up the walls and spraying out of their shitty window air conditioning vents. After I heard where they moved to, I quit my job at Golden Corral and told Dick I was going back to San Antonio. He was upset, but he still offered me a ride there. When we got there the next day, he still offered me a ride. When we got there the next day, I couldn't believe how bad Mom looked. Her blonde hair had turned thin and greasy, like from a horror movie. She didn't look up or turn around when we entered the room. She just sat in an old rocking chair, going back and forth, staring at an empty wall. Michael and I tried to brainstorm a way to fix her. We take her on errands during the day, and Michael would deliver pizzas at night. Fix the situation. Michael would deliver pizzas at night while Mom and I would lock ourselves in the motel room and keep the drug-addicted neighbors at bay. It was impossible for her to get better in that motel. We'd hear sirens, screams, and junkies banging on the door every night, kind of like this place. There's no handbook for mental illness, and we were learning as we went. With next to no resources, the little money we made delivering pizzas went to pay for our shitty motel room. Sometimes Michael would take the car during the day, and I had to ride the city bus with Mom. I never thought I'd end up riding the bus with my schizophrenic mother. Our twisted sitcom came to an end the night the Spurs won their second NBA championship. Michael and I were watching the game from the motel room while Mom wandered in and out of the bedroom and the kitchen. She liked basketball before she went crazy. As the deciding game came to an end, Mom sensed the nervous energy in the air and began pacing faster and more frequently, looking out the window every time she heard a car horn or a distant scream. They're not honking for you, Michael said. It's the Spurs. Yeah, she said sarcastically. The Spurs won the championship. Michael jumped off the couch. Yeah, they won the championship. It was obvious they were winning and the TV was on full blast confirming it. Seriously, Mom, the game just ended, I said. Look at the TV. You boys can't believe everything you see on TV, she said. Then Michael jumped off the couch, grabbed Mom by the shoulders, looked her dead in the eye, and screamed, They're not yelling for you, they're yelling for the Spurs. Stop being crazy. Michael thought he could shake the crazy out of her. I grabbed him by the neck and threw him on the ground. He got back up and we wrestled around until Mom locked herself in the bedroom and screamed, You're both possessed by devils. We tried to talk to her through the door, but the only thing we'd hear from her were unearthly wails at the sound of every firework, car horn, and scream in the distance of, Go, Spurs, go. That's it, Michael said as he grabbed the car keys. I can't listen to this. Come on, we're going for a drive. The Spurs won, damn it. We drove the car, but it was hard to feel proud of our favorite team with Mom out of her mind. We went for a drive. We went for a drive to celebrate, but it was hard to feel proud of our favorite team with Mom out of her mind. We got stuck in traffic somewhere near the Riverwalk and didn't get back to the motel until very late. We weren't worried about being locked out because Mom gave us keys. The only way we couldn't get back inside would be if she locked the bolt. If she locked the bolt lock. When we got to the door, we found out that's exactly what she did. She locked us out and wouldn't answer. We knocked out loudly but heard nothing. We were afraid something was wrong, so we banged as hard as we could until somebody finally called the cops. A young cop got to the motel a few minutes later. We told him Mom had schizophrenia and locked herself in the bed in the motel room. It was a lot for him to handle, but he was down to help. He banged on the door with his flashlight, and the three of us put our ears against it but heard nothing. I asked him if he'd kick it down, like in the movies. He said that'd be against proper procedure, but he didn't mind if we kicked it down. So Michael and I each took turns but only managed a few dents. Some of the neighbors came outside during the commotion but ran right back in their rooms when they saw the police officer. The cop finally got tired of watching us overexert ourselves and gave the door a swift kick. As it slammed down, we saw our mother sitting on the couch in her nightgown. The crash didn't even cause a flinch. She didn't say anything. She just stared at the wall like nothing happened. The three of us gingerly entered the room, and Mom still didn't move. It was like she was in a trance with half a smile on her face. The cop gently put his hand on her shoulder and calmly asked if anything was wrong. Finally, she broke the spell and started acting normal again. "Oh, were you boys knocking?" she asked. I didn't hear you." The cop was shocked and suggested calling an ambulance, but Mom told him she was okay. I'd been under a lot of stress and medication," she said. "You haven't taken your meds in months," Michael yelled. "Calm down," the cop told Michael like he'd known him for years. He put his hand gently again on Mom's shoulder and said quietly, "Ma'am, I was with your two sons right here knocking. Unless you have some severe hearing problem, there's no way you didn't hear us." "I'm sorry, officer, but I didn't hear you." She stuck with her story and the cop had nothing else to go on. "Take care of her, boys," the cop said, scratching his head. Mom was alive, but our room had no door. Michael stood it up and placed a few pieces of furniture in front of it to hold it steady, but nobody wanted to stay there anymore. We would have been safer outside on the street. Mom locked herself in the bedroom and we turned on the TV and fell asleep to the basketball highlights, exhausted. Okay, that was from chapter 7 of my book, Gonzo Education. That was chapter 7 titled Mom Part 2. This book is available on Amazon for like $5 or $6, and you can get it for free on Kindle. If you enjoyed my reading of it, this is a self-published memoir. I'm trying to get a regular book deal. This book starts when I drop out of high school and ends when I graduate from one of the best journalism schools. So if you say that this book isn't good, then you're really talking trash about not only to me, but to the university that trained me in nonfiction writing, which is the University of Texas. Thank you for listening. Click the thumbs up, smash the subscribe, and have a nice day.